Hello and welcome to Huddersfield Town's post-match show after a fantastic 2-0 win over Watford. To talk us through the action, I'm delighted to be joined by former Town striker Dale Tempest and, of course, broadcaster and Town fan Andy Lawson. How are you both?
Yeah, very good after that.
Yeah, certainly feeling good myself as well, Adam. Yeah,
I'm sure you both are. We are here at the stadium as well. I mean, that's 4 home wins on the bounce now, 3 2-0 wins on the bounce at the John Smiths. You can see as soon as the players step out here, they're just brimming with confidence, aren't they?
that was the performance that we needed. We look at what happened last weekend against Bournemouth, write it off, forget it, it's gone. Coventry then midweek, we should have got the victory there, but didn't. Fair enough, fine. So today, before Christmas, we get ourselves a 2-0 win. We set ourselves up early in the game. We have then the confidence and everything we need to get a brilliant victory this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned it before, but that's 2-0 consecutive wins at the John Smith Stadium. They seem to have a bit of a knack here and almost a bit of repetition in the fact that the first half seems to be when we're scoring our goals, and then the second half performance, there's a lot of professionalism about it, Dale.
Yeah, it was excellent today. I think the one quite interesting, I look at all the data and everything. Watford had a lot of chances. They created, anybody who follows expected goals. Now, some fans, and I know Jeff Stelling and Merce and people like that go, oh, it's a load of rubbish. It absolutely is very good. It gives you a good idea of a game and who's dominated. And it's what happens in both boxes. They've created 3.18 chances in terms of goals, Watford today, against Town's 0.99. So Town have created slightly under. But Town, because they got the early goal, always felt like they were in control of the game. And now what's more important, I think, after the 5-0 thumping away at Bournemouth, that they've quickly got back to basics. You could see a couple of times when they overplayed. Corberon, I was watching the pitch and then he's going like that. You could see him animated on the side there and, giving that signal of, come on, get it long. You don't be overplaying. And so they're getting that balance. The goal they gave away at Stoke and away at Bournemouth early on, with passing on the edge of their own box. You just got to sometimes just put your foot through it. And so I'm very impressed with them. One big issue for me with Town at the start of the season, I couldn't see where they would get the goals from. With Carlin Grant going, he's gone, that's fine. That's 19 goals gone. So you need somebody to step up. Now, to be fair, Fraser Campbell, I think that's his 4th goal. He works his socks off. The one thing, if you're a player, if you're not having a great time, you make sure the opposition player, your main opponent, isn't having a good time either, because that's one thing you can control. And Fraser Campbell always makes sure every one of that back four he plays against knows he's been there. And Josh Koroma has been outstanding this year, but his injury was a major issue for Town because he's been the creative spark coming off that left side. And without him, I was fearful that, hang on a minute, what's going on? But they got some clean sheets. They're still creating some chances. So that's a huge 3 points for Town today. Going into the Christmas period, you've got, a week off now. It's been Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, non-stop. And when you're in a small squad and you've got these processes, and it's very physical. They demand a lot of, just as Bielsa does Leeds, exactly the same. It's the physical side of it so important for the players. They've come through it. They're in mid-table, and every Town fan, if they've got any sense at all, would have snapped your hand off to know they'd be mid-table come Christmas. And that's where we are.
I mean, there's a few talking points there, Dale, off the back of what you've said, starting with Watford's expected goals. You said it was over 3. I mean, Andy, Ryan Schofield, if I don't say so myself, was absolutely outstanding. I wrote 4 or 5 vital saves that he made, almost from point-blank range as well.
Yeah, Adam, I made some handwritten notes and I would put them to the camera, but quite frankly, I've got terrible handwriting. You won't be able to read them. But I've actually put man of the match, Ryan Schofield, just because of the importance. And every time Watford tried to just get something going and maybe had a shot or something close range, whatever it was, but the ball was not going to get past Ryan Schofield. Adam, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I think I'm right in saying 6 performances for Ryan Schofield, 4 clean sheets. I think I'm right in that. Yeah. So, I mean, you look at what he's doing, and again, we spoke about it after the Coventry game, but that confidence that the defence has because their goalkeeper, they can absolutely see he is going to keep the ball out of the back of the net. That is going to happen. And you saw Watford as well, their confidence drained because no matter what they were trying, they were not able to get the ball past him. Now, I mean, Dale has sort of said Watford not a particularly good side. To be honest, personally, having seen less of them, they still scared me going into this. But the more Ryan Schofield performed, got the saves, stopped them putting the ball in the back of the net, the less fearful I became. And you could see that across the whole team as well.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, we've been speaking a lot about Ryan over the last kind of month or so when he's come in for Ben, when Ben's been unavailable. And he's just 21 years of age. He's got a really good kind of start to clean sheet ratio, Dale. But some of those saves today were from point blank range, but it was his positioning, wasn't it, that enabled him then to make those saves. It's a really good instinct for him to have.
Absolutely. To be honest, I never thought he was going to concede. And some goalkeepers have that sort of just the aura about them where they just happen to get in the right place at the right time. And I felt that about Schofield today. I had every confidence in him, in everything he did. You don't really want your keeper getting booked in the 23rd minute or whatever it was, but that's part of it. You know, he wanted to make the right decision. And he was so in two minds that he actually ended up making no decision. I can't remember ever seeing a keeper get booked for time wasting in the 20th minute. But it was such a good day for him. And that's the nice thing, I think, when young players come into the main first team and they're on the fringes, the big part of it that helps them along is that they know their role. They know specifically, they come into a team and they know when I've got the ball, that'll happen. He'll be there. It becomes much easier for younger players then to step up because you're not just asking them to do something on their own. They know they have a set responsibility they have to think about and they carry it out. Schofield's done that. Edmonds Green, I have to hope, fantastic again. You know, that's against one of the best attacks individually, those quality players. He'll be pleased that Troy Deeney wasn't there. He'd probably say, I'd have loved Deeney, I'd have had him in my pocket. But it would have been a very different challenge to him than Andre Gray, who's only played 4 times, 1 goal, and just looked, you know, lost a little bit up there for them. So many positives, as you say, when you've got the youngster coming in there, Schofield, and the kids coming through, when you see them, they come with such enthusiasm. And that's what managers want, you know, where you absolutely the energy that comes from those players pushing from behind, that they want to be part of the first team squad. So really positive for Town at the moment.
Yeah, one player in particular that you mentioned earlier a little bit, Dale, that deserves a massive pat on the back for me is Fraser Campbell. I mean, he absolutely ran his socks off, didn't he?
It does every week. He's done it from the first day of his career. You know, that's what he brings. You know, so fair play to him. I think he was. Didn't the Cowleys bring him in? I think
he was brought in before the Cowleys arrived.
Was it just before them? He's a good pro. And in the dressing room, when you get a thumping or whatever, you need good pros who are going to turn up week in, week out. I mean, I thought he was going off in the first half.
Yeah, so
you know, you thought that he did well to keep going. Just hope it's not something that his energy's kept him going and it flares up now and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Because sometimes when you carry on and you've had that knock, it's only when you slow down and your adrenaline, you know, calms down that you actually end up finding you've got an injury. So we'll wait to see on that. But it's a big plus that we've now got, what is it, a week before Barnsley.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we talk week after week about Fraser Campbell, like Dale said, and the amount of effort that he puts in. And there was a touch of fortune about where the ball landed for his goal. But equally, if there's a man that deserves a little bit of luck to grab that goal, Andy, it's Fraser.
Yeah, it is. He is one of the most hard-working forwards I've seen in blue and white stripes for a long time. He kind of reminds me in a way of Lee Novak for just the sheer amount of energy that goes into his performance each and every game. Earlier on in the season, when we hadn't really got going, I think I remember he scored quite a pivotal goal early on. He deserves those chances that he gets. I mean, you've got to give Isaac Mbenza a lot of credit because he is the one who chases down Ben Foster. There was a moment where they were kind of both looking at each other just for a second in a kind of who is then going to take this ball and try and put it in the back of the net. Fraser does, and does superbly well with that chance. There was also a ball played over. Now I think he was offside. Ball played over the top to Fraser Campbell, which he took kind of scissor kick, left foot. It was offside in the end, and I remember Oggy saying in the commentary, Ben Foster will be very gutted that it was offside because it's kind of chalked off. But just look at that from a technique point of view. Dale could probably tell you more about this because obviously he's played. I clearly haven't. But you can kind of see just that technique. Ball comes over the top. You're able to see it, know where it is, strike it. Yeah, keeper saves fine, but it's on target. What a goal that could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. On the topic of Fraser, obviously, we always used to talk about his unselfish runs. Carlos highlighted it in the press. Like you said there, though, Andy, it was Isaac Mbenza making the unselfish run, closing down a back pass to Ben Foster, putting the keeper under pressure. When players see each other doing that, it makes them want to do it even more, doesn't it? I mean, it was fantastic from Isaac just to do that because it was almost like he was chasing down a lost cause at one moment in time.
Quite simply for me, Isaac Mbenza is an absolute revelation. Carlos has managed to bring players to the fore, players that we knew had a lot of potential, haven't always maybe been able to show it. So you look at your Josh Karomas and players like that as an example. But Isaac Mbenza as well, you have to look at him and you have to see just the amount of effort that he's putting in, the amount of runs he makes, the amount of just thought process he puts in. He wants to be a huge part of this Carlos Corberán team. Ever since that goal, the free kick against Birmingham, really every game now, you just look for his name on the team sheet and you're just excited. You just wait to see what exactly he can create. And we saw today that kind of never say die attitude that I'm going to chase down the keeper using that pace, creating the chance, boom, 1-0, Isaac Mbenza, thank you very much. You did so much toward that goal. And then obviously Fraser puts it in the back of the net and happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dale, obviously, the second goal had a lot of fortune about it. Etienne Capoue putting the ball into his own net. But just before that, Fraser and Isaac combined perfectly again, didn't they? Fraser dropped off a little bit, played a perfect pass into Isaac Mbenza. Obviously, his shot was blocked behind then for the resulting corner.
Absolutely. I think it's the sort of general point to take out of it rather than is that first half. That's what seems to be the players have got that message now. There's keeping the ball, but there's been on that front foot and putting teams who visit us absolutely in their face. Don't give them a minute's notice. And that's what they've done really well. And they did it at Watford, did it at QPR, and done it with Sheffield Wednesday as well. I mean, isn't it amazing? The catalyst was the Borough win. If you actually look, I was looking before, Watford in their 9 away games has scored 4 goals. 4 goals, Watford. And I say, we've all got them in there. Oh, these are aside. 2 wins, 5 draws, 2 defeats. The 2 wins were against Derby and Birmingham. They didn't deserve either. They got a 95th minute penalty at Birmingham, and at Derby they had a 35-yarder from Pedro. So Watford were there for the taking, but it was only because Town's attitude was absolutely spot on. They didn't give them a minute's breather, and they were in the faces. And so that creativity comes from the pressure because they're not letting them get settled into a nice, easy pass in and letting them have it. They're absolutely on the front foot. So I couldn't be happier. I've got myself a beer to I thought I'd bring down. I thought I'd celebrate the 3 points and have a beer in the process.
Oh, fantastic. Like you said there, we were man for man in the first half. Second half was a slightly different performance. After the game, Carlos said once we were 2 goals ahead, the focus then was on keeping that clean sheet. The second half performance, we weathered the storm a little bit at the start, but it was a really professional, compact unit, Andy.
Yeah, it was. It was a case of we got the job done in the first half in terms of getting the goals. And then, yeah, we made sure we didn't concede anything. But just quickly to go back to what Dale said, it kind of ties in with what you've asked me as well, Adam, is the fact that you look at the game today. Now, I didn't actually realise how Watford were coming in with their away form. As Dale kind of said, and as I've said, it was a case of, Watford, when
it's
it
easy,
came into it.
Isn't it, when they're obviously third in the championship before this game?
Yeah, absolutely. And although I may be thinking back to a game at Vicarage Road a couple of seasons ago where we did all right, apart from that, Watford generally, it's a case of Premier League team and things like that. But the fact that we've found out what Dale said, and we've still come out of today with a clean sheet with 2 goals, so we've got the 3 points. There've maybe been times in the past where we've got overawed by the big names coming to Huddersfield Town. And the fact that under Carlos, we're not bothered about that. We're not bothered about the other team, particularly, again, taking kind of last Saturday out of it, but we're not that bothered about what they're going to bring. We bring it ourselves. So yeah, there was that brilliant defensive performance in the second half, which if Dale can celebrate with a beer, I've got my coffee in a Huddersfield Town mug from about 2005, and I will celebrate the defensive performance with my coffee.
And obviously in this game, we're all used to seeing Town dominate possession, dominate the ball. I might be wrong, but for me, this is the first time in a while, certainly, that I can remember Town having less possession this season. We had 42% of the ball. Because of that second half, it was a different type of performance, Dale, wasn't it? There was a bit more steel about it.
It was. And what was great was to see game management come in. Because, that's not necessarily where we've been before, where, you've got a lead, well, let's get the second and third. Well, you're against a very strong opponent. I watched the Watford-Brentford game on Tuesday, I think it was. And Brentford were by far the better side, but both of them were absolutely at it. You could see Watford's legs were a bit gone. They put it all in on the game on Tuesday night. And I think that whole process of coming away, oh, here we go, boom, somebody's in your face like that. And geez. And as soon as they got in front, Town got the second, that was important, was the second. Then they could go, right, let's sit here, we'll do our breaks or whatever. They've got to get past us now, and we'll just sit in nice defensive positions. It becomes quite easy defensively. Bielsa had a great quote in the Yorkshire Post a couple of weeks ago, and he said, it's very easy to defend if you don't bother attacking. And I thought it was absolutely spot on. But it's true. Once you sit, teams will often practice playing 8 against 11. They're 2 banks of 4, or however you set up in practice, and just go, right, let's not concede. And that 8 will sit there trying to defend against 11. And it's just a training ground regime. But it's when you've got 11 and you can sit in those defensive positions and then bounce off them as soon as you get the break and take the ball forward. Fantastic. That's what they did today. It was so impressive. Everything about the performance today was good. And there's nothing better than going into a very tough Christmas period, New Year games. They're going to come thick and fast when you can all go away with a smile and go, yeah, come on, let's have the next game now.
The Christmas period is really important, isn't it? That's if you can string 2 or 3 wins together, you can see yourself shoot up the table. Equally, if you don't get those results over the period, you're kind of looking down a little bit more. I mean, going into this period, Andy, we finally have a week's break between games where the lads can do a little bit more on the training ground. But equally, the recovery period during that time is vital, isn't it? Before an incredibly busy period.
I think with the way that this season has been structured, any little break you can get within the games is so important. You can already imagine that although it may be a more restful period for the players within Huddersfield Town, it is not going to be a period of rest. There is going to be a lot of work that goes on in the next few days. Then we get Barnsley, then it's Blackburn, and then Reading. So it's 3 tough games before we have the FA Cup game against Plymouth. But you look at now how Town play and dare to dream almost. I did say maybe while we're watching the game, obviously before we came on here, I was sort of saying, could we be looking at a kind of playoff push? And, you know, it's been a while since we've been able to dream a little bit like that at Christmas. It's been 2 or 3 seasons. So, yeah, I can see that this period of rest now is hugely important for Town. We need to get some of these injuries sorted. We need to get ourselves, as you say, rested so that there aren't maybe future injuries coming. We can try and kind of curtail everything like that. But the fact that for me, and I suspect for many Town fans, the excitement is here at the moment. This is a fabulous Christmas present from Huddersfield Town to the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Dale, the week could be really important, couldn't it?
Absolutely. I think that what's interesting going into the game, Town's record against top half teams was really poor. You know, Town have been taking their points against the teams below them, you know, or around them, which you need to do. But every time they've gone up against the stronger sides, they tended to come unstuck. You look at all the expected goal data, shot data, they struggle. So that's why today was so important. I think Borough is probably the only result really. Away in Swansea.
Swansea, yeah.
You know, but apart from that, not a lot has gone right when we played the better sides or the top half sides. So that's, I think, that's what will please the manager, I think, more than anything, that they've gone in front, had the right attitude from the first minute, and then done the dirty work, done the graft, done the bits that are needed to graft through and get you the points. They've not allowed Watford back in it. The keeper, the defence, every player on that park. The subs worked well, and Benza was knackered. He'd put his whole effort into that first 65 minutes sort of thing. Pritchard comes on. He's not getting the ball and looking and trying to be clever. He's grafting from the first minute because he knows he's got a job. And if he doesn't do that job, Corberan won't even have him in the squad. And that's exactly how it should be in terms of the discipline that goes on around the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andy, you can keep smiling now all the way to Christmas, enjoying your tea.
You'll find, Adam, I'm a coffee drinker in here, so it's a good old-fashioned cup of coffee. But yeah, happy days, happy Christmas, everybody. I'm a happy Town fan. Happy Christmas to you.
Huddersfield Town fans, thank you very much for watching. I'm sure you're all smiling at home, and from everyone at the club, I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Cheers, all.